All right, we are open up to last night's homework, 751 and 752, to correct our homework. So here is 751. So you were supposed to write a numerical expression for each calculation. So you didn't have to solve it, you just had to write it. So we had numbers 1 through 4 to begin. So number 1 said multiply 16, 3, and 29, and then subtract 17. So you should have 16 times 3 times 29 minus 17. But to make sure that people or whoever's solving this, in fact, does multiply first, it doesn't hurt to put parentheses around. Yes, technically in PEMDAS order of operations, you multiply before you subtract, but like I said, I always like to put parentheses around the first step to make sure whoever's solving it does the first step correctly. Yes, Will?
So if I didn't do parentheses, is that first step?
Technically, but I will say in the future, please put parentheses around the first step, okay? All right, number 2, add 13 and 2/10 and 9/10, and then divide by 6/10. So you should have 13.2 plus 0.9 divided by 0.6. Now this one you need parentheses because it wants you to add and then divide. Well, we know in order of operations, usually you divide and then you add. So you need to put parentheses around the addition problem to make sure that is done first. How do we feel about number 1 and 2 so far? 1 and 2, how do you feel? 1 and 2, how do you feel? Everyone should be showing me a number on their hands. Jack P? All right, thank you. Awesome. Then number 3, subtract 12.5 from the product of 9/10 and 180. So we know product, that's the answer to a multiplication problem. So we need to multiply 9/10 times 180 and then subtract 12.5 from it. So you should have 9/10 times 180. Technically, these two numbers could be switched around since it's multiplication, minus 12.5. And then putting parentheses around that first step, which is multiplication. Questions on number 3? Okay. And then number 4, we had add the quotient of 120 and 60 to the quotient of 72 and 9. So the quotient is the answer to a division problem. So we're taking 120 and dividing it by 60, and we're taking 72 and dividing it by 9 because we're finding the quotient of that, and then we're adding them. So that requires us to put parentheses around both of our division problems to ensure those are solved first before we add. Other questions on number 4? All right, show me 1 through 5. How did you feel about 1 through 4? How do we feel? How do we feel? Philip and Jack P. and Chanel, how'd you feel? All right, hands down. Thank you. Then let's go on to the next page. So number 8. Number 8 said, Lola uses 44 beads to make a bracelet and 96 beads to make a necklace. Write an expression to show how you could calculate the total number of beads Lola used to make 13 bracelets and 8 necklaces. Well, since Lola uses 44 beads to make a bracelet, and she's making 13 bracelets, we would take 44 times 13, or 13 times 44. And then since Lola uses 96 beads to make a necklace and she's creating 8 necklaces, we would take 96 times 8, or 8 times 96, and then we would have to add both of those together. So we would put parentheses around both of our multiplication problems to ensure those are solved first before we add them. Other questions on number 8? Richie?
So for that one, I just did 44 times 13, 150, and it was 96 times 8.
Yep, so, yes. So with multiplication, you can flip the numbers around. That's okay. Yep.
That's what I did.
Yes. Yep. Multiplication and addition, you can flip the numbers around. Subtraction and division, you cannot. Yeah. Well?
So on this one, I put parentheses, but don't you not need parentheses?
I would say whenever you have more than one, like in a step, so like more than one division problem, more than one multiplication problem or something like that, I would always put parentheses. Okay? All right. Good questions, 5th grade. All right, so that was 8. Then we had 13 and 14. So 13, you were supposed to pick which expression represented the calculation they gave you. So divide 688 by 32 and then add 16. A demonstrates that because we need to first take 688 and divide it by 32, so that's in parentheses, and then we add 16. None of the other ones do that. This one, C, looks correct, but they flipped around the addition and the division symbols. Then for 14, Missy bought 7 pairs of socks for $2.85 a pair. She had a coupon for $2.25 off of her total purchase, which calculation shows the amount that Missy paid. So we would have to take 7 times $2.85 and then subtract the coupon, which is $2.25. So that would be C. Jack.
If you flip it around,
Mm-hmm.
see number 15 and then put A on number 13?
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Oh, got it. Got it.
I almost got it.
Yep, you almost got it. All right, are there questions on 13 or 14? All right, show me 1 through 5. How are you feeling about writing these numerical expressions, writing them out? 1 through 5, how do you feel? Good. Philip, how are you feeling with this skill? Okay. All right. Hands down. Nice job with correcting your homework. Let's go ahead and take out our math notebooks. Open up to the next clean page. Once it's open, please take a stretch break.